Hey everybody, this is going to be the second time recording this video because the first time I got about 70% through and my virtual machine crashed, so hopefully that doesn't happen again. But anyway, make sure you stick around for the whole video. This is going to be Ice from TryHackMe. It is a sequel to Blue, so if you enjoyed the last video, this is pretty awesome. I would highly recommend watching the whole video because we're going to be covering some awesome tools. This has actually been discussed in the Darknet Diaries and it's a pretty popular tool. So we're going to be using that, and yep, smash that like button if you enjoy the video, and you might want to navigate over to the subscribe button afterwards because your mouse might not work from hitting that like button so hard, so you might want to double check. See you guys over in the virtual machine. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Alright, we are over in the virtual machine. As always, make sure you connect to the TryHackMe network before trying to do any boxes. Go ahead and deploy the machine and run your Nmap scan. So we have figured out that these are the ports that are open. We got 135, 139, 445, 3389, 5357, and 8000. So immediately I see 8000, and that's IceCast Media Server. Considering the box is named Ice, this is probably going to be useful. And 3389 is remote desktop. So let's head on to the recon section. And that's actually the first question it asks. Which port is remote desktop? 3389. What service did Nmap identify as a running port on 8000? The first word of the service is IceCast. So, yep, there we go. And what does Nmap identify as the host name of the machine? All caps. The host name is dark-pc. Bam, there we go. We have some initial enumeration done. And let's head over to IceCast enumeration. So, we have established that IceCast is interesting. So, they want us to go to cvedetails.com and look for a vulnerability that is a 7.4 or 7.5. So using that website, we have found CVE 2004-1561, and it does actually have a Metasploit module. So it is a execute code overflow vulnerability. So let's head on over back to TryHackMe. Execute code overflow, that is the type of vulnerability it is. And what is the CVE number? CVE 2004-1561. So now we're going to head on over to Metasploit. Give that a minute to load up, and I'll be back once it's done. All right, so now that that's done, we're going to do IceCast. All right, and we see the one Metasploit module. So use 0. Okay, so we're going to want set. Well, let's look at the options first. Let's do options. So we're now going to have to set the R hosts, right? So set R hosts, and that's going to be the IP address of the machine. So that'll be whatever your IP is. It will not be the 200.67. So now that we are here, you can run. And this will get us our first shell. Okay, so you see now we have an interpreter shell. So let's head on over to escalate. Yep, it wants to know the name of the shell we have, interpreter, what user was running the IceCast process. You can do that by running the command git uid, and that'll tell you the user. It'll also tell you the PC. So dark PC, and the user was dark. If you run sysinfo, it'll give you a bunch of information on the computer. So the next question, they want to know what the build of the Windows system is. It'll tell you right there, Windows 7, build 7601. So now that we know that, we can work on the architecture, and it's a 64-bit architecture, which is nice. Using this information, we can start looking for exploits. So we're going to do run, post, multi, recon, and local exploit suggester, I believe. Yep, local exploit suggester. So we're going to run that, and it's going to collect a list of all the exploits that may work on this machine. So we're going to let that run, and I'll be back once it's done. All right, so now we have our interpreter shell back, and TryHackMe wants us just to focus on the first exploit available. So it looks like that is a bypass user account control. That seems pretty interesting. So we're going to copy that because it's asking us for the full path of that exploit. So now that we have the exploit in mind, we're going to go ahead and we're going to background our interpreter session, Control Z. Okay, so now that we have that, we are going to use our new exploit that was suggested to us. So it's going to use viewer. There we go. We are now using this exploit. So let's check out our options here because we're going to have to change some things. So you see it requires a session. So you're going to want to check your sessions and see I have session 1. That's my current interpreter shell that I have background. So you're going to want to set your sessions to 1. There you go. And then you can check your options again. All right, so you can see that you have session 1. So TryHackMe says that there should be more options available, but I haven't gotten them to pop up yet. So what I usually do is I just do run, and that'll run it, and it won't work, but it'll open up the other options that you need to change. And you're not going to get anything back because it's using the wrong IP address. So you're going to want to check your options again. Let's check your options. So as you can see, it's using the lhost for your virtual machine's IP address, but you don't want to use that one. You want to use the IP address that you're given to connect to TryHack, because you want to be able to listen on that IP. This will be the same for Hack the Box too. Whenever you're setting up a listener, always use the IP that you were given using the VPN. So you're going to set lhosts to, or just lhost to that IP address. And now you can run without a problem. So let me head back over to the access section. All right, so now we have done that, and we should have a stronger interpreter shell. And this is where my session crashed last time, so hopefully this doesn't crash. We can now verify that we have expanded permissions using the command git privs. So let's see what privs we have. Okay, so it wants us to look for a permission that allows us to take ownership of files. I think that take ownership privilege is pretty self-explanatory, and that is the correct answer. So let's head on over to the looting section. Now this is where the cool tool that we are going to be using comes into play. This tool is called Mimikatz. So prior to further action, we need to move to a process that actually has the permissions that we need to interact with the LSASS service. The service is responsible for authentication within Windows. So let's list the process using the command ps. So let's see what we can use. This is a list of processes. So we can see processes being ran by NT authority system, as we have the escalated permissions, even though our process doesn't. So I think we're probably going to transfer into a process that is using NT authority system. In order to interact with LSASS, we need to be living in a process that is the same architecture as the LSASS service, 64-bit, in this case of the machine, and a process that has the same permissions as LSASS. The printer spool service happens to meet our needs perfectly for this, and it'll restart if we crash. What's the name of the printer service? It took me a minute to figure this one out, but then I started thinking about spools and print spools and stuff like that, and I actually found it pretty easily, and it's right here. It is right here, spoolsv.exe, and as you can see, it is NT authority system, and it is x64. So we're gonna want to take the process ID, which is 1056, and the name. The process ID is 1260, and the name spoolsv.exe. Copy that, and we're gonna use migrate -n, and that's gonna be the process name. Paste that right in there, and that'll migrate us to this process. Okay. So once again, use the gituid command to see who we are running this process. And you can see we changed from dark to NT authority system. All right, and once we are migrated, we are pretty powerful. So you're going to load Kiwi. And Kiwi is pretty sick. Basically, Mimikatz can do a lot of stuff. So let's check out the help. And we are interested in creds all to retrieve all credentials. So just run creds all, creds_all. And as you can see, it has dumped the LM and NTLM hash and the SHA-1 hash for the dark user. It also can pull it out of memory. So as you can see, the password is password1 of dark. So let's just make sure we're still NT authority system here. Awesome. Okay, so this is as far as I'm going to go now that we dumped dark's credentials. But I want you to go to the post-exploitation section of this box and really read about what you can do with your interpreter session once you have full administrative rights. You can do some pretty cool stuff. You can dump hashes, you can screen share, you can record mics, you can timestamp. And I really want you to get into the Mimikatz section, as Mimikatz is very cool, very powerful. It helps you set up golden ticket attacks, and we will cover that in a later video. But I want you guys to go through and read through this now and really get familiar with playing around with the interpreter shell. And I'll see you guys in the next video. As always, if you enjoyed, smash that like button. Let me know in the comments how I can make these videos better. I'm thinking about going through in more of a off-the-cuff method of doing these live instead of doing the box, writing a script, then redoing it for you guys. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next video.